In 2016, Arturo Sosa, a Venezuelan Jesuit, was elected the 31st Superior General of the Society of Jesus. At the start of his tenure, Father General Sosa began a review of the variety of works that Jesuits were engaged in by surveying each Jesuit around the globe, involving both lay and religious partners. Participants were invited to discern the most urgent needs of the world, right now, and how the Jesuits can better serve those needs. After 2 years of consultation with Jesuit works all around the world, a proposed draft was sent to Pope Francis, a Jesuit himself, for consideration and confirmation. As a result, the Society of Jesus has committed to 4 universal apostolic preferences for all Jesuit works to focus on through the year 2029. Number 1, to show the way to God through discernment and St. Ignatius's spiritual exercises.
The spiritual exercises were not just for Jesuits. It's a book that Ignatius wrote, meditations, contemplations. And so I know here we educate more than Catholics, we educate more than Christians, people who are not affiliated at all, the way we care for people, the way that we emphasize our service here on campus, the way we fight for justice. There are all ways that we can share these things that are inspired from our own faith. It's not just about being Christian, it's about being human.
This profound encounter with God of spiritual exercise. In the classes themselves, I myself and these other faculty that I work with regularly use exercises as simply part of our pedagogical technique. Students start looking at the world differently. They look at the material world differently. That's Jesuit education at its best. That is one example of what UAP number 1 wants to do in the educational context.
Staff, faculty, I would not look at it as just a job. I would look at it as enlightenment. You never stop learning.
I've grown in this job. I've grown in my own faith. I've been given the opportunity to explore those beliefs.
To take that with me all throughout the week, even as I go to work. Amazing, that one gets to be able to do that.
To walk with the poor, the outcasts of the world, and those whose dignity has been violated, in a mission of reconciliation and justice.
What is our obligation as members of this institution to the greater society that's around us? And that's part of what we do at SLU, is ask those types of questions.
This comes straight from Pope Francis. He said, it's one thing to have theories about poverty and to have all these kind of notions about what causes poverty. Okay, important to study it. But if you can't tell me the name of an actual poor person whom you know, whom you love, whom you have had the joy of serving, it's only in that case that you can accompany the poor and marginalized and not merely think about them or write about them.
Walking with the disadvantaged is another one that especially our students really embrace during their time here, whether that's working with the unhoused or going to the border and working with migrants.
We have a number of people on the faculty and staff, most of whom are working on a volunteer basis, to go into a prison, to work with prisoners to bring them education.
We have a campus kitchen where we serve the poor and most senior in our community.
We have an incredible number of faculty engaged in community-focused scholarship, being with individuals, very Jesuit and very Catholic in nature. That is something that really leads many of our scholars here.
To accompany young people in the creation of a hope-filled future.
This generation of young people, they are at a place of stress and anxiety that they come by honestly, right? There are a lot of good reasons to feel that way.
They watch the news, they see there's horrible things going on, they're worried about climate change, racial injustice, the top 1% versus the 99%, and that can make people feel despondent, and there's not much hope for what's going to be there for me in the future, or where we're going as a planet and as a world. And it's our job to walk with them because they can contribute to the positive change that they want to see in the world.
So if you're a chemist, your job at SLU is to find in chemistry a possibility of hope for the world. No matter what you're doing here, your job is not only to learn that particular discipline, but to learn how it becomes a contribution that you make to a hope-filled future.
Some are looking for opportunities to further their commitment to social justice, and I think they find that here. It's exciting when you hear them say, oh, I got that. This is what I was looking for, and I'm excited to go further with it.
It doesn't really matter if you end up with a degree and you get a great job if you don't have hope in anything. we have the opportunity to provide that to students in a way that will enrich their entire life.
To collaborate with gospel depth for the protection and renewal of God's creation, our common home.
The question about climate is a foundational issue, particularly for the younger generation. And clearly the Pope is articulating this as well. What do we do? God says the world is good and we're looking around it and said the world's falling apart. How are we going to adjust ourselves and our way of looking at things?
By referring to it as creation, it flows from a source that is not me. It's independent of me, it's prior to me, and now I have to adapt myself to it.
And I think you see those 4 universal apostolic preferences reflected in much of the work we do here at St. Louis University. You can see it in the work of the faculty, the staff, and the students, how much they commit to working with and serving others and advancing those preferences of the Society of Jesus.
Here at St. Louis University, the universal apostolic preferences are reflected in our community of education and faith. The spiritual exercises are shared in a variety of ways, underscoring our belief that each of us, regardless of the categories that society puts us in, is loved by God and deserving of respect, dignity, and opportunity. We are meant to be stewards of the natural world and supporters of the dreams and hopes of young people. St. Louis University has the privilege of shaping those bright futures every single day.